Welcome back to our studio in Mexico. Today I want to talk to you about why wedding photography is the best job ever and how it has absolutely transformed my life over the past number of years. I first got into photography through music, and music was a bit of an amazing time in my... Welcome back to Studio Mexico. We're in Mexico. Welcome back to Studio Mexico. We're here in Mexico. If you are on the YouTube side of things, you can drop any questions, comments, concerns you have in the box below, and I will try my best to include them in the next week's episode of this podcast. So come on over. There's a link in the show notes if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you might listen to podcasts. I always feel like it's a sales pitch whenever I say that sentence. So wedding photography for me obviously has changed my life. I got into photography through music. I was a music concert photographer doing band promos, that type of thing. And it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. It allowed me access to opportunities that I would not have had otherwise. I got to meet a lot of my favorite singers, songwriters, bands, got to get up real close to them during shows, and I got to have kind of my own space. I like that a lot, that you got to be in the photo pit, so there'd maybe be 10, 20 of you in the photo pit, but you wouldn't be stuck up against a rail with like 1,000 other people. I like that. You get to move around, you get to look at some stuff, take some pictures, document some history. It was really cool. One of the hardest parts with concert photography was that you got paid in free t-shirts a lot of the time, that there are so many people that want to do that job and that are willing to come out to that job just for the experience of it, that it is very hard to actually earn a paycheck in it. When you get into the studio side of things and you're shooting bands, if you're connected to like Sony or one of the bigger labels, maybe there is money to be made at that point. But in the early stages of being a concert photographer an hour outside of Toronto, so not even really in Toronto, it wasn't really a profitable direction to take my photography long-term. Fun, but not profitable. I was growing up and I got to around maybe 17, 18, and I realized that probably not going to be a career in concert photography. However, I can use everything that I learned in this concert photography thing, working in bad clubs in the basement, coming up with my own off-camera lighting to make things look interesting, capturing fast moments and decisive moments in literally no light a lot of the time. And so when you learn in concert photography, you kind of learn in the hardest of all conditions. So everything else is easy. So my first wedding, I showed up to and they're like, wow, you've set stuff up where we get to take photos in nice light. I get to pick where we do it. Wow, this is amazing. This is great. And as a career, that seemed pretty interesting to me. I love the fact that you got to show up to people's parties and you got to just basically integrate yourself as an additional member of the bridal party for the day. But also most of it, at least in the way that I do things, was photojournalistic. So I didn't really interact with everyone. That I was there. I was taking the pictures. When people got in good light, I'd take some nice flattering photos of them, make them excited about how they're looking that day and capturing the emotions. And I enjoyed that section of it. What I didn't love in the beginning and what I found very difficult was actually posing people. So engagement sessions specifically with strangers. I had, I'm going to say, 5 years of struggle. I didn't know what to do with anyone. I was uncomfortable posing them. I was uncomfortable telling them what to do because I didn't really know what I wanted them to do. I was just like, be normal, be you. Okay, great, we got it. And for the first bunch of years, it was really, really challenging to me. And then to kind of layer on top of that, if you are attracting your ideal clients are probably a lot like you. And that means that if I'm introverted and I'm shy and I'm weird, I'm probably attracting naturally people that are also introverted, shy, and weird. And it's just like a combination of just weird things. No one ever showed up being like, we're so excited to have our picture taken. Everyone showed up and they're like, yeah, so we're a little uncomfortable and awkward and like any help you can give us. That was the conversation I heard over and over and over again. So that was the hard part of wedding photography for me. The easy part was when I just got to roam and I got to do my thing. That was really fun. Now, how it changed my life, I think you probably already know. If you're this far into a podcast about wedding photography, I suspect you already know the potential upside. And the potential upside, I guess it changes depending on what you actually want from the career. So I was in my early 20s when my photography career started kind of actually moving properly. And what that meant at that time, I wanted to do destination weddings. I wanted to come to Mexico. I wanted to hang out on a beach, take some pictures. And I took heavy advantage of that. And I marketed myself very heavily as a destination wedding photographer for a very long time. I think I did like 50-ish weddings in different countries around here. And that meant that I spent an entire year, because we always, when you do kind of that all-inclusive style destination, the couple will usually get a week for free because they bring so many people in. So they'll just give you that week package and pay you also. But that meant that I was spending weeks and weeks and weeks here, which was awesome in the beginning. And then at some point you're kind of like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that again. Maybe that's like actually kind of stresses me out coming to a space to do that and to do not. I also found it very difficult to do nothing. I don't know if you feel the same, but I try really hard sometimes to do nothing, but I feel like I'm wasting my time and that I should be doing something with that time. And it honestly causes me some stress. So I don't know if there's a work-life balance, or if work-life balance is a myth, and your work-life balance is if you enjoy doing the thing that you enjoy doing, maybe do more of it. And as long as it isn't ruining the other parts of your life that you also want to exist with, maybe kind of make your own work-life balance. You don't listen to people on the internet. So in the early stages, wedding photography allowed me to travel to a lot of places that I wanted to go to. It also opened me up for a lot of commercial photography opportunities that also were travel related, that people saw me traveling. And also you can kind of, if you know you're going to be somewhere, you can kind of market accordingly. So if you know you're coming somewhere, you can either reach out to a restaurant or a hotel or people. You can target, like if you know you're going to be in a major city that people actually live in. Say you're traveling to, let's call it Dallas. You're in Dallas and you live in Florida and you're like, I would love to do a Dallas engagement session. You can start doing targeted ads in Dallas and you can pick up work that way. And that's something that I did a lot in the early stages. What this allowed me to do was to travel and get paid for it, or at the very least, if it was a vacation or a trip that I wanted to do, I was able to break even on it, which was, I would say, it's the greatest blessing that you can pick a spot, you can travel there. And if you're a member, I have a bunch of, I'm going to say like 4 or 5 different courses on this, but you can travel somewhere and you can generate enough profit to at least break even, whether that means you're running a gallery show of the images, or you're picking up some wedding and portrait clients, or you're doing some family photos, or you're creating some work for a commercial partner that you might have reached out to and put together a deal with. There really are a lot of ways and opportunities that you can use this content creation photo video job to do exactly what you want to be doing. So looking back, my early career, I think I realized that pretty early on. And that's when I started to layer YouTube in it as well, that I realized that, okay, so I can create good product for, say, I'm reaching out to the Hilton in Bahamas. I want to go to the Hilton Bahamas. I reach out to them. I know that I can create great work, but what I couldn't do at the time is I had no kind of social influence. And when you can come to somebody and you have a bit of a platform to promote their product or service, plus you can create an actual product for them and have deliverables, something that they need, all of a sudden, it's very, very easy for you to unlock these opportunities. Plus, people will invite you to strange and interesting things like Sony Kondo, which is just a weird collection of YouTube creators, and also Sony ambassador photographers and TikTok creators and a bunch of other people that all kind of come to one spot. And that opportunity would not have existed had it not been for my effort to at least put a little bit of time into YouTube and slowly create a bit of a platform there. And that was created with the intention, obviously, to help people, but actually, no, in the beginning, it was, I pretty much just did travel content, and it wasn't really there to maybe inspire people, but it wasn't that helpful in terms of content. And then I realized that there is more value in at least myself talking about my story and how I got into this, because I really do, I guess the topic of today, I really do believe that it's had a lot of great changes in my life. So the first time that photography really took me somewhere, it took me to a place called New York City. Maybe you've heard of it. And I live just an hour outside of Toronto, and a band, they were recording with, if you're into the emo, I'm not going to call them emo, but a band called At the Drive-In. They recorded a record called In Casino Out. And the producer, his name's Alex, that actually made that record with the band, lives in New York City, lives in a place called Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And the band that I was kind of friends with, I don't even know if I did promo photos for them. I think I just did some live concerts. And I was like kind of one of their go-tos, that if they were having a cool show, they were like, Taylor, you might want to come to this one. This one's going to be pretty cool. Or if they knew the audience was going to be nuts and there's going to be some good immersive photos. So I took a bunch of their favorite live photos. And because of this, they were like, hey, if you want to come with us on our bus to New York to record this record, we'd love to have you. We're all sleeping on the floor of Alex's studio, but you can come if you want. So I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. And we went to New York City together. This was the first time that I'd really traveled. I think I'd been on a ski and snowboard trip prior to that with just one of my friends, but this was really the first time that I went to, one, a big city, maybe other than Toronto, and two, traveled on my own, or at least as like a friend group. And it was a lot of fun. I got to go and I got to do a thing that I enjoyed. I got to create the content. I got to create some photos for them. And overall, I found it to be a really just enjoyable experience, and I wanted to do more of it. When I got back, I also realized the business rewards of doing travel gig and the credibility that comes with is, it kind of makes no sense that I went with a band to New York, but now I have this photographer that shot in New York City. Wow, right? No change to my skill or anything, but I had now done this cool project, and other people were like, wow, that's a pretty cool life experience. Would love for you to come shoot our band now because of this. So I've also discovered that in weddings as well, in terms of destinations, that you do a destination wedding and you do the same quality of work that you would do, but now you're just in a different landscape, and somebody paid you money to get on an airplane, and all of a sudden you're in this next caliber of photographer, even though your skills haven't really improved, but your portfolio has. So I saw this pretty early on, and I just kind of made travel a part of my business because I both enjoy it as well as I know the credibility that it adds. Weddings specifically, I think maybe to speak to the non-selfishness of it and just getting to travel and do cool stuff yourself, you also get to create something that is immediately valuable for your client, for your couple. Somebody hires you and you're creating something in that moment that is going to be valuable for the rest of their lives, and it's going to be passed down from generation to generation. And I think that is pretty darn cool. On the sadder side of things, that you are likely going to be documenting some people looking their best for the last time that they're ever photographed in their lifetime or professionally photographed. And I think that is an amazing service that you can do for all the families and all the people that are at that wedding. And because of that, I will always believe that both candids of everyone there, as well as the family photos, are just so important. And even though they're the most boring part of the day, I think that they are the most critical part of the day. And those images really do find an incredible lifetime value. So I love that part. I love the fact that I get to kind of be an extended member of the wedding party. I think in my early years, I found it very difficult to fit into groups and to be part of a group. But what I did enjoy was being, say for instance, music, that I found it very difficult to really be in the friend circle with the band, but I found it very easy to kind of be with them and hang out and have fun. I guess I was kind of in the friend circle, but also have a purpose and be documenting. I find that when there's a camera in my hand, I feel much more comfortable in a room. And if I'm just here hanging out and there's a bunch of people around, that's fine and nice. But if I'm able to create something that has value, I find that I just feel a lot more comfortable. So weddings unlocked travel opportunities. It offered me a lot of money also. Wedding photography, it's probably one of the reasons you're getting into it is because there actually is a good amount of money to be made, especially when you get into the higher end market. And also just, it's so profit heavy that yes, you got to buy some cameras, but if you were opening up any other shop and you wanted to open a restaurant, you're $100,000 in debt before you even get off the ground. Photography, now you buy some cameras, maybe you spend $5,000, $10,000 total on an impressive kit, because you can get a lot for that amount of money now, and you're pretty much ready to go. And if things don't work out, it's very easy to resell any items, or if you buy a lens that you just don't love, it's very easy to actually resell. Whereas if you're opening a restaurant, a lot of that's going to be a sunk cost. It's just a very easy business to get into, even though it seems hard and daunting right now. It really is one of the easier ones to get into. For positive or for negative, you're kind of completely in control of where your career goes from this point forward. And the positive is that you can take it anywhere, but the negative is that you have to be super self-motivated, because not everyone's going to believe in you. Not everyone's going to push you. The psychology thing is that people want you to do well, but not better than them. So stay here, be good, but not that good. Don't be better than me. So that is something that you're going to have to manage, and that you're going to have to be completely self-motivated. The benefit is that once you start seeing things like destination weddings open up, and you get to travel and you get to create all this cool work for cool people and cool places, you are going to find a lot more motivation within that, and it's going to become easier and easier to actually push your business forwards. In terms of what you want from life, I guess it's also important to figure out what you want and to kind of build your life in reverse, if that makes any sense. So I figured out kind of the life that I wanted to have, and I figured out the pieces that I kind of had to put in place in order to create that life and to create something at least roughly kind of in the direction of kind of what I wanted. And I found that wedding photography was one of those pieces that was so customizable, because it can be anywhere in the world. It can be location independent if you want it to be, or it can be location dependent if you prefer to stay home. And then a lot of it is done, so you got to be there for the wedding day, but then outside of the wedding day, you're able to do that anywhere. So all your email you can do from anywhere in the world, all of your editing anywhere in the world. You can outsource it all if you don't want to do the editing section of it. There are just so many possibilities to make wedding photography just a really, really nice lifestyle overall. So if you are going down this road and you're a little bit stressed out right now, know that the result is worth all of the effort that you're putting in. When you're working for yourself rather than for somebody else, you're 9 to 5. You're working for somebody else, you're paying them money, all the money that you make that year. If you make the business more money, it goes to somebody else. But now all of the money that you're making actually goes to you. So all the effort that you're putting in now, all of the time, equity, and the money that you're putting into your business now comes back to you over time. The money that you spend building your portfolio or getting out there and doing shoots, all of that is going to come back to you over your lifetime, over and over and over again. Wedding photography, I think, really is worth the journey in terms of the time freedom, the financial freedom, and the unique and interesting opportunities that it allows you to have. That's all from me today. If you have any questions, come on over to the YouTube video and put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to get back to you. Also, if you are a member, there is a ton of content up there all about what I just talked about. So come on over to taylorjacksoncourses.com and start with Book More Weddings 2023 if you're a member. That is all of the updated stuff from the past year that I have changed in my wedding photography business and that I would recommend that you maybe start implementing in yours. Again, this is the way that I do things doesn't have to be exactly the same way that you do things, that you can pick those bits and pieces that make you a happy business and a happy life. And I think that's what wedding photography is all about. So take those things that will make your life, your business better overall and implement them and get started today. That is all for me today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you got some value out of this, and I will see you again next Monday on this podcast.